Aren't you pretty? You're gorgeous. We're gonna come right back. We're gonna talk about these beautiful horses with Hayden. We'll see you in a moment.
See you soon.
Welcome back to Southern Oregon Safari.
And we're the Buffalo Roam.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Hayden.
Who's this, Hayden?
This is Agnes.
What is Agnes?
Agnes
What
is a
breed?
horse.
Yeah.
Like
A
we didn't
horse
know
is
that
a
already.
horse, of course, of course.
Agnes is actually a Gypsy Vanner horse.
Oh.
Yeah, and so for people that don't know what a Gypsy Vanner is, they are a drafty type of horse from old England, old Ireland. I think mostly UK though. But the Gypsies were what we call, I guess some people call them, it's not a great term, as pikeys. The Gypsies.
Okay.
That would you find them all throughout Europe, but mostly I guess like in Italy there's Gypsies, but the derogative name I guess is pikey, I guess. But
Okay.
the Gypsies are nomadic and they kind of live wherever they feel like living, I guess. And so they had these. You've probably seen these, what they call Vardo wagons, these big bow wagons, these big roofs. So it's almost like a giant stagecoach with a really high roof, and they would paint them like crazy colors like they would maybe in Eastern India, where they paint just fantastic colors all over them, lots of golds and reds. And they build these fancy wagons, these high roofs, and they build a home inside of these wagons. They're very heavy wagons. These Vardo wagons weigh a lot. And so there's very few horses that are able to handle the weight of the wagon. And secondly, the cold climate that they're usually often living in
Yeah.
the winter climate. So this is a horse that is bred just specifically for that. Very heavy bodied, short in stature, thick, big chest, big rear end, big thick neck. They're a working animal, is a pulling horse. And this horse can pull till the cows come home.
Almost looks like a miniature Clydesdale.
It is kind of a
with
miniature
the
Clydesdale.
feathers
Yes,
on the hooves.
I mean they're basically, it's a draft horse.
Hey.
This is a horse that's designed and bred specifically for working. And some people do use them to pull logs and plows, but they were basically designed. The reason they got their name was from the Gypsy wagons, the Gypsy Vardos. They call them, and they call the Vardo wagons vans. So it's Gypsy Vanner.
Oh,
They're
okay.
the gypsy horses that pull the vans, and that's what they live in. And these guys sometimes get these little mustaches, which I really love them. She's got a little bit of mustache. Usually the mares don't quite have the mustache, but the stallions get these big mustaches. You almost get them like with a curl up, like the old school mustache. They wax and curl them up on the ends. You'll see a lot of that. But again, big heavy feather on the legs, big thick hooves, big chest, big shoulders. They're just built like a brick house.
Now
I mean,
you've used some of your animals in the industry.
Motion picture and commercial.
Yeah. Have you used these in anything?
I have used them a little bit, but I got these guys just because I always thought they were cool. We always wanted them, and when we finally came here to Oregon, I thought, well, as a little side business, I would breed some gypsy horses, and we knew a lady that was breeding them, and she turned us on to some people that were selling a couple really good brood mares and trying to find. There's a lot of gypsies floating around out there, but to try to find a really good breeding quality brood mare. Get over. I want to get her back a little bit. Back. Trying to find a really good quality brood mare at a reasonable price is nearly impossible, but we really lucked out. We got turned on to this mare and another mare named Josie, I'm sorry, not this mare. It was BB. Her mother was the first mare that I got, and BB's just like her. She's in back there behind us in the barn. BB's a little bit thicker, but to find a brood mare of that quality for the price I got her for was a really amazing deal back then. And then I also bought Josie, who I have turned over to a good friend of mine who's breeding Josie right now. And she's got a baby out of Josie. Those were our two first mares. We got them at a really amazing price. And it was a great start for our breeding group. And as you can see, they're super docile horses. This horse is just a broodmare. She's not really, we don't ride her or anything, but you can see how calm she is.
Yeah.
They're like this, they're very affectionate, they're very calm right out of the womb. And literally by the time they're 6 months old, you could literally, without having to fight, when you normally break a horse, it's dangerous for you as a human, it's dangerous for them. There's a lot of bucking and kicking and fighting, and they just don't want to give in. They're very stubborn about it. These guys, you can literally throw a halter on them as a baby without fighting. You can put a saddle on them without fighting with them. You can teach them how to do footwork, which most horses don't like their feet being messed with. These guys you almost don't fight at all with. They just take to everything. It's really bizarre. Just the way they're bred for, obviously they're great conformation, but also their personalities. They're very affectionate, very friendly, very dedicated and loyal. There's just so many things I love about them. Like trying to train a horse to ride in a horse trailer. Horse trailer is a big, scary monster for a horse. I mean, it really is.
I never thought of that.
It's this box that's dark that they're walking into. They have to trust you to get into this box on wheels and then get towed around where there's lots of vibrations and rattling. And most horses hate learning how to ride in a trailer, and it's usually a big deal. I have horses that I've spent days and weeks on trying to get them to get even into the trailer, not alone ride in a trailer. These guys, right out of the mom's womb, I've literally taken them and thrown them in the trailer, and they don't fight, they don't panic, they don't get scared of it.
You're showing your best side. There you go.
They don't get scared of the trailer, they don't fight it, they don't.
What are you doing? You silly.
They just take to everything so easily and so quickly. Yeah. But what I really like about the Gypsy horse is they just are so calm, and it's got such a great demeanor. I love everything about them.
Now, she's full grown.
Yeah, she's full grown. Yeah, and she's
she's not very tall.
No, and I'll be wrong on the exact height that's required, but we measure horses in hands.
Yeah.
So I think a hand is like 4.5 inches or something like that.
Okay.
But so a horse of this, a really well-bred Gypsy, I think can't go over 14 hands, and I think they're under 13.8 or something is the best. Its height. Her mother's, I think, right on the cusp. If she was any taller, she would not be a perfectly bred Gypsy. But her mother has every other attribute of being a perfect Gypsy. Just so well built, just giant, really thick body. She almost built like a stallion. Her mom, which is great because with a Gypsy, if you can get a mare that's really thick and well built and round. Now, some people in modern times have bred Gypsies down to be a little thinner and finer, but that's not the original. The old English. The old Gypsy Vanners, stout. I see a lot of the today. I see a lot of being bred, and people they're winning in the show ring, but they're finer boned. They're more bred for sport and riding than pulling and being a draft horse. We do that with everything. Dogs are the same way, you know. You get the AKC, they change the rules, and an animal starts out for first couple hundred years, it's designed one way or it's bred one way to meet certain genetic requirements, and then 10, 20, 50, 100 years later, it suddenly turns into something totally different. She's getting a little bored with me. She wants to eat. She knows everybody else is eating but her. So we're going to put her away in a little bit, but we will go and see some of the other Gypsy horses. We call our this part of our farm Flying Feathers Farms.
Oh, okay.
Flying Feathers, that's what we call the hair on the feet. We call those feathers. So we call it Flying Feathers, and like when they're running, the feathers are flying. Okay. So Flying Feathers is the Gypsy breeding part of our operation here. This is what else we do at Southern Oregon Safari. It's not really part of the safari, but we do this on the ranch, is breed these wonderful horses.
Now you're breeding them. Are you selling any of them?
I am actually. I actually have one little gelding that I just gelded, which means we castrate him so he'd be better for riding and being maybe for a child. He's not as tall. He's about, he might be about her height now, I guess. He's about 3.5, 4 years old. I think Agnes is 8 now, and she's had 2 of her own babies. She's had 2 foals of her own. But we have Artemis, which is that gelding. He's not here on this ranch. I keep him up north in Salem at another facility where he's being trained to be ridden. He's already broken to ride. There's a 13-year-old girl that rides him every day. And he's doing magnificent. He's a very stunning animal. A little more black color than Agnes, and a blue eye. And then I've got, there's also another horse called a Frisian horse. And a Frisians usually come in jet black. They're also a drafty horse, but a little longer leg and a little longer neck and a little taller. But they got a thicker foot, a thicker leg, and they're also feathered. They got the feathered feet. The other 2 that I have are Frisian crosses. So the dad was a Frisian for both of those, and the mom was Gypsy. So we call those Gypsians. That's what they call them. And it's become a popular breed to take the Gypsy and mix with the Frisian. You get a really stunning animal. And we'll go in there and we'll see those guys in there. And those 2 are for sale. It's a little mare, or little filly, as we call them. A young girl would be a filly. Look at a young filly and a young colt in there. The little boy is a colt. So we're gonna put her up there, get a little excited. She's mad that she's not getting her food and everybody else is eating dinner. So we're gonna put her up real quick.
She needs hay. She needs her.
She needs hay, and then we'll go see some other Gypsies. All right, we're going in. So we're inside the horse barn at Flying Feathers, part of Southern Oregon Safaris, and we're gonna just see some of the other Gypsy horses, and we'll go down the line here and say hello to everybody, and we'll go from there. Follow me this way. What we have here is that nice little colt that I was talking about that is a Frisian Gypsy mix. This is Damascus, for Damascus Steel. Come here. And he's still got his testicles, so he is a stud colt. He's a young guy. He's about, this guy's not even a year old yet. And this is how big he already is. He's going to be a giant. And that's the Frisian in him is making him quite a lot larger than if he was a Gypsy. He'd already almost be full grown height-wise, but just getting thicker. And so as you can see, he's got a little finer bone, a little longer leg, a little longer neck. This would be a great sport horse if somebody wants to do some really serious riding and maybe even competing, riding dressage or something like that. This would be a really great animal for that. He's, like I said, he's still going through a little gangly period because he's still a youngster. And like I said, that's Damascus. He's just barely a year old. We'll go over here and we'll see one of my other brood mares and that filly I was talking about. So what we have here is Dublin. And Dublin, as we were talking about a Frisian, they're usually all black. And she's half Gypsy like the rest of them with a white and black mama. This is actually Raven. And Raven is one of our brood mares. And she's got a blue eye here. Her eye's blue on that side. She's one of my brood mares, like I said, and then Dublin is the filly I was talking about that's barely a year old. And she, like Damascus, because part Frisian, look at the lanky legs,
she's
the long neck. Look how tall she is already. I mean, she's going to be a really stunning animal, and it's going to move really well for somebody that decides to ride her. Be nice, maybe do some competing with her. She'd be a great dressage horse. But like I said, half Frisian, half Gypsy, but already bigger than a Gypsy because of that Frisian blood. And they're a little more excitable with the Frisian bloodline. A little more excitable than a Gypsy. They're not as mellow, but that's what gives them that spirit and that drive. So when you're competing in a ring and doing dressage or whatever you're doing, you're working that horse. They're going to be more what we call gated. They're going to throw their feet more. They're going to curl their neck more. They're going to kind of push on their fight the bit a little bit more. But that's what a lot of people that compete and ride in the ring, they want that flashy. So that's what you get out of that horse, be a very flashy riding horse. And everybody's a little muddy and gross right now because we are obviously in November and it's muddy out here, so it's hard to keep horses clean this time of the year. We try to keep them well groomed, but it's not an easy task. And this is my big glamorous girl. Who I was telling you, my first broodmare that I ever purchased was BB. And BB is my big broodmare. She's produced a lot of babies for me. She is really, really a spectacular animal. Very affectionate, very sweet. Lots of hair, very thick bone, very thick body. Look at the chest on this animal. Look at the shoulders and the back end. I mean, this animal is built for pulling and working. She's a true draft horse. And perfect height. She's just right on, like I said, she's right on the cusp. If she was any taller, she would probably not be exactly suitable. But she is a very large Gypsy mare for a mare. Usually you'd find stallions would be this large in body size and height.
Beautiful animal.
Aren't they neat? They're really great horses. And I'm not like a big horse guy. Like I said, my wife and daughter are really into horses. When I was younger, I was into more. But I find it to be a lot more work than anything. But as I've gotten older, I really don't prefer to have animals like to fight with you, and I find a lot of horses are a little combative at times.
Yeah, it's different than a rhino or a elephant.
I know, go figure. Yes,
or even a lion.
It seems almost like a ridiculous statement, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, horses are not my thing as much. But the Gypsy horses just are so docile and just they're so much easier to deal with. I just really enjoy them.
Well, thank you, Hayden, for finally showing us the horses. They're the closest animal to the road that everybody sees, and
I've
always been curious about the beautiful colors of these animals. Just beautiful patterns.
And there's actually a lot more. Gypsy horses come in all kinds of amazing colors. They come in palomino colors, they come in silvers or blues, what they call roans, all kinds of different colors. I mean, the sky's the limit with the colors on Gypsies, and everybody's always kind of breeding for more unique colors. So, but you find most of them are the black and white. That's kind of the more common coloration. So.
And their native area is just around Western Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be quoted exactly, but I think you find most of them in the UK, ranging into Ireland and England, I believe.
Okay.
But I could be wrong, so don't hold me to that. You got to do your homework on it. That's just what I know of them. But when you start looking up Gypsy Vanners and look at the history and how much the tradition of it all, and the Vardo wagon, the bow wagon, or the Vanner wagon, it's pretty cool. These wagons are just huge and they are heavy. I mean, they have wood burning stoves in them. They're full out with kitchens and beds and sometimes bathrooms. I mean, these things weigh a ton, and these animals pull these things for days.
Oh boy, it's
So
like
they're-
today's fifth wheel.
It kind of is. I mean, really, it's what it is.
Nice.
And the horses do it for them, and that's how they got their name, and that's what they're bred for.
Well, thank you for sharing this with us. We've got more animals to look at. I'm Jerry. So if you guys want a chance to visit the safari park, check out the information. I'm going to leave it right here for you. You go ahead and check that one out. Also, there's information down below in the descriptions. Check that out. Get a hold of the company. It's Southern Oregon Adventures.
Wilderness Adventures.
Southern Oregon Wilderness Adventures. They'll get you set up, bring you up on a tour, and you guys can see all the animals that you could see that are available to see. And yeah, I'm Jerry Hansen, your host,
I'm Hayden,
and this is Southern Oregon Safari.
and we're the Buffalo Roam.
Be safe. We'll see you guys in the next season.
And watch out for the passing cars. See you soon.
Bye-bye.